Okay, today we're going to be talking about Python and some text-based programming, which is going to be our first entry into the programming world. And so this is going to follow up to what we learned in class today. And so what you're going to do is, and I've showed you this in class, but just to make sure you got it, when you log into Tynker, along the left-hand side, you're going to see My Projects. And this is where you click on My Projects and you can create a new project. You'd see all of the projects that you have created. So you won't see anything here, but what we're going to do is we're going to spend a lot of time in here because we're going to use this as our Python emulator, because you can't really code Python on a Chromebook, which we talked about, but we're going to code it here. So we're going to go to, whenever you want to open up a new Python project or code in Python, we're going to click on create a new project. And then what you're going to do is we're going to scroll down here to Python. And when you get to Python, we're just going to do a blank Python project. Okay, so we're going to pick a blank Python project. There's lots of stuff in here that we can come up with and we can do. And so you've already got one of these started, but if you didn't, or for whatever reason you got messed up or anything, the first thing we want to do is name our project. Right. And so our projects will always have our name on them, because if you're going to turn it into me, or if I'm trying to find it, I need to know what it is that you're doing and what is it that your project is about. So we're going to start off with some turtle. So this is going to be our turtle notes. It's super important that you have good programming and coding notes, because you can use them for any of the quizzes that you have in class. So you can always come back to and refresh or get these. So I'm going to start with my name, and I put a dash in there, and I'm going to call it turtle notes. And so when I hit enter, it's renamed my program. So this is now my new program. We talked in here, and you got three sets of information that you've got here. So the first one is going to be, this is your canvas. So think of the canvas as like what your computer screen is going to show. So you're coding behind the scenes, and somebody else is out watching the computer screen. Over here on the canvas is what they would see. Okay, so this is where your output is going to go to. All right, and you can resize, you can drag the canvas to make your canvas bigger or smaller, but that's going to be where your canvas is. Over here is your editor, and this is going to be where your code is going to be. On the far left is going to be your files, and you always start with a main.py, or main Python file. So if we click on that file, that will actually open up the file, and it shows us all of our code. So now there is some default code in here just to kind of get you started with a blank template on how we do this. And I'm going to teach you guys how to make these shapes or make the stars or make all those things. And one of the projects you're going to do is create your own artistic expression using your computer. So for right now, we're going to delete all of this out. Okay. And so we just go and we delete everything out. And we're also going to notice that there are colors that go with our coding, so that you know what you've got to do for the coding for each of your colors. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to start to type what our notes are. So we're going to get our notes in here. So the first thing that I want to show you guys, or we talked about in class, is a comment. A comment is always started with what would be the hashtag or shift 3. So if you do a shift 3, it's going to turn it into a gray. And you can write anything you want behind it, and it's going to be grayed out to let you know that that's a comment. Okay. Now you're commented, that's a single line comment. Now you'll notice that the way that coding works is you have lines of code, and each line is numbered. So if you ever have an error, you can always see where your error would be. Okay. And you can put comments on lines, in lines. Really, comments are there for the coder to help out. And we're going to use comments because it's a great practice to get into. So we're going to hit the enter key, and we're going to get into, this is our second line of code. Now we're not going to make this a comment, so we're going to type just exactly what I'm typing here. So we're going to type from. So you're going to notice that it turns this purple color. So one of the things that we do when we're looking at our coding, and if you notice up here as I type, this will change from save to in a work in progress, but then it'll give me that I can save it, or it will save automatically. So if I see that, I could save, or it'll save periodically for me automatically to my web-based program. So I've got from, we'll put a space in here. So Turtle has lots of libraries, but they're not all loaded up for you yet. And so what we're going to do is, it's like we're going to the library to get a book. and we're going to get the book called Turtle. So, and it is super important that you type it exactly as it is. Okay, so from the library called Turtle, lowercase. One of the biggest mistakes that you guys are going to make is case sensitivity, an extra space, or what's called syntax. When you type or code, it has to be perfect. So you have to type exactly what I'm typing, which is why I'm showing this to you, so that you know exactly what you're doing with it. So we're going to go from the Turtle library. We're going to do a space, and we're going to import. And you notice it changes the color purple, and we're going to import turtle. So we want to bring the turtle files over. Okay. And so then what we are going to do is I'm going to put a comment so that you guys know exactly what this is. This is going to pull turtle commands from Python. Now, one of the things that you notice whenever you start a program is you can just start with import turtle and it will give it to you. I'm showing you the correct way to do this because if you're coding Python, you first have to find the library, then import from the library. Tynker has tried to make it easy for you to make it so it's more user friendly. So they take out the step that you don't need to find the library. It does it on the back end for you. But if you were to code on actual Python or download Python, I'm showing you the way that it should be done, industry standard. This is kind of what you're supposed to do. So we're going to always search for the library first, then we're going to import from the library. Okay. And so then when you do this, right, so that what you're pulling is the method of turtle. So what you're doing is it has to have that capital T because that's what that method is called. When that method was put in there, when this turtle was put in there, it was called turtle with a capital T. Okay. So I'm going to put another comment in here. The method you pulled is called turtle. Capital T, right? So you have to have it. Now, what that means is when it was put in and coded, that was the guy that created this library or created that command and loaded it up into the Python library, loaded it up with capital T for the name of the method. When your computer goes to look for something, your computer is actually not very smart. It does exactly what it's told to do. If it's told to look for turtle with a lowercase t, it's going to search and look for turtle with a lowercase t, and it's not going to find the right file or method because that's not what you're looking for. So you have to tell it very specifically what to do, step-by-step instructions. And so we're going to get that, and we're going to set up and go from here to get our turtle going. So the next thing that we've got is we're going to name our turtle. Okay, so now what this is where you're going to create a variable, and your variable is going to be white, and you can name your turtle anything you want it to be. So I'm going to name mine Ed. So I'm going to say Ed equals. So I'm making a variable, and my variable is called Ed, and I am going to make this my turtle, and you have to do the open and close parentheses. Okay, so what we have done here is create a variable name for our turtle. Okay, so there's our variable name for our turtle, right? And it cannot be turtle because turtle is a protected name. Okay, so you have to come up with something else. It could be Yertle, it can be Yoshi, it could be your name, it could be anything that is school appropriate. Okay, so we can make our turtle whatever we want to do. Right. So then I'm going to give you guys a couple of commands to play with, and this is what we're going to look at for this. Okay. So the next thing that you've got is you're going to make your turtle move forward. Okay. So the canvas, this is where we're going to show all of our stuff. Your turtle always starts at what would be 0, 0, kind of in the middle. So I'm going to do Ed because that's now my turtle, dot, and I'm going to make Ed go forward. Okay. And Ed is going to go forward. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say he's going to go forward 30 pixels. Right. And so think of it, each dot is a pixel on your screen. And so what we're doing is we're going to have Ed move forward 30. So when you come over here and you hit play, There's my Ed. So Ed has moved forward 30. Now, if I change this, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to change this 300, right? And I'm going to hit play again. Okay, so Ed went further forward. Okay, so what we're doing is my turtle is named Ed. I've put the period in there, give him the command of going forward, and inside the parentheses, talked about how far do I want him to go forward. Okay, and so this is going to be what you're going to do is what you've done is you've created your object, which is Ed. Okay, so I'm going to put a comment in here. Ed is my object, right? And the command that I gave him was forward. Okay. And then inside the parentheses, I'm going to put in here, oh, I got to make this forward. And then what we're going to do, I can't use the parentheses. We're going to do inside parenthesis is number of pixels. Okay. Now you see this wrapped around, but this is still one line of text, one line of code. Okay. So you can't do a comment. Well, I mean, I'm showing you how to do a multi-line comment. So this is still considered line number 5. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to go to line number 6. You notice how it doesn't do 5 and this line becomes 6. This is now a new line of code. So I've given Ed my command of going forward. So I'm going to make Ed, I'm going to put him back to 30 because I don't want him to go too far. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get you here. We're going to give you guys some other commands to get your stuff going here. So then I'm going to do an ed.write, okay? And it fills in so you can see what it is. And so one of the things that you notice is ed is my object, so that's my variable that I created. So my variables are always white. My commands that I'm pulling are purple. So you know that you're spelling it right because your commands are the right color. So if I spell my if I spell my commands differently, if I go ed.write, oh, it's not going to do it here. So if I go ed write, so we're going to have ed go right, and I do my parentheses. Now what you're going to think of here is when you're making your turtle turn, your turtle is turning at an angle. Okay, so this is where our math is coming in. Okay, so I'm going to make my turtle turn at a 90-degree angle. So Ed is going to turn at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give you a command here. Okay, turtle turns right angle in degrees. Okay, so that's going to be my turtle. So now if I hit play again, so we're going to watch my turtle. Turtle goes forward, and then you can see that he turns right. So now I can give him another forward command, ed.forward, and we'll give him a 30, right? And then if I hit this play, he's going to go forward, and he's going to, there it is. So I've got myself a right angle. So he went 90 degrees. Now you can make your angles anything that you would like them to be. Okay, so you can make your turtle any angles that you would like them to be. What your assignment is going to be for your distance learning day and kind of get practice with this is you're going to make 2 shapes. So I want you to make 2 shapes for me using your turtle so that we can practice doing turtle. So I'm going to give you some more commands. Now my commands that I'm giving you, I'm going to put the comment in front of them, right? These are the comment in front of them is going to show you what you're going to put after your turtle name. Okay, so these are going to be all of the commands that you can do. Okay, so you have forward, okay, you have backward, you have right, you have left, you have, this one's going to be a good one for you. So this one is going to be good, pen up. So this one means your turtle won't draw. So think of it when you put your pen up and you move your turtle, that's so you can move your turtle from one location to the next, right? So if you pick your pen up, think of the turtle as having a pen that's dragging in his butt. And when you do pen up, he lifts his butt up and he's no longer dragging it. And so then you have to put your pen back down. Turtle won't draw, right? So then we have to do here, you have pen down and turtle pen back on the page. Turtle pen draws again. Okay, so that's going to give us your turtle pen is going to go up and down. And let's see, what else can we do for you? We will do, I'm going to show you a good one here. Let's show you one here. This one's going to be color. So I'll give you color, right? And so this is going to be, so this can change the color of turtle. Okay, so I'm going to go back up into here. So the way that this works, just so you guys know as well, is your computer runs the first line of code, then it runs a second, then it runs a third, then it runs a fourth. So if I put something way down here, and I'll show you here. So if I go down here and I go ed.color, and then in parentheses, I'm going to give it the color. I'm going to give it the color red, right? So I'm going to change the color to red. Now what you have to do when you're picking a color is you have to put it inside quotes, a single quote. Okay, so this is going to pick what the color is that I'm changing it to. Now, if yours does not turn this blue, it's because your keyboard is set to International Keyboard. So on your Chromebook, you're going to go down on the bottom right-hand side, open up your settings, you're going to check your keyboard, and you're going to make sure that your keyboard says US, not INTL. If your keyboard says INTL, you need to change your keyboard so that when you put the single quote in, your color turns red. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to change this, but you're going to be like, okay, so what happened? So my turtle has changed his color, so he's red, but my line, I want my line to be red. What I need to do is I'm going to take this line of code, and I'm going to cut it. So Control X, I'm going to cut it out of there, and I'm going to put it here in between line 6 and 7. So I'm going to make a new line 7, and I'm going to put it right into there, and I'm going to hit play again. Okay, so now you see how my line is red because I moved my color up to here, right? And you got lots of colors that you guys can choose from. I'm not even going to go through all the colors. You can try the colors and see what kind of colors you got. You got pink, purple, orange, yellow, green. You just got to put it inside the single quotes to get your turtle, right? So if I put my color at the top here, so I'm just going to go one more for you. If I go Control X, I'm going to cut this line out, and I'm going to go up to the very beginning because I want my turtle to be a certain color, right? There it is. So I'm going to put it there. So now I do this. There it is, right? So I've got that. Now here's one thing that's super important for you. So I'm going to do this. Watch this. I'm going to make an error in my code real fast to show you guys a problem. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to cut this out, and I'm actually going to put this above where I created ed. Okay. Now what's going to happen here when I do this, I'm going to hit play and I'm going to get an error. And so right here, this down here is our console. This will tell me where my error is. So it says name ed is not defined on line 4. Okay. So here's where my problem is. So I've got ed.color. So ed is going to be color and he's going to be red. But what happened is I'm calling this ed before I actually named ed as my turtle object, right? So I can't do that because right here, the computer doesn't know that ed is the name of my turtle. So what I have to do is I have to cut this out of here, and I have to put it after where I created ed, right? Because this line here, line 4, is where I create ed. Right here is where I say, okay, ed is going to be my turtle. Ed is going to be my turtle object. So from now on, everything that I do that's called ed is saying I want to move my turtle object or change the color of my turtle object that is called ed. So I'm saying that ed is now turtle, right? When I put this up here and I said ed.color, it had no idea what ed was because I hadn't made ed. Now my commands, if I put ed.forward in my neighbor's computer and their turtle is named Sally, it won't work. So I have to make sure that my turtle is named the right turtle. So you have to make sure that you first name your turtle, then you can do all of your commands to it. What I want you guys to do, and you can have some fun with this, I want you to play around and make 2 different shapes. And so you're just going to come up with two shapes that you're going to make. It can be a triangle, square, trapezoid, hexagon, whatever it is that you would like to do. Just making a turtle, playing around with it, getting used to kind of the coding and the syntax of turtle notes.